LR, the liberal redneck here, coming to you from a country looking at the biggest Supreme Court scandal in my lifetime, and maybe the biggest ever. It involves Justice Clarence Thomas, his wife Jenny, and wannabe Nazi billionaire Harlan Crow. You can't make this shit up has seldom been truer. Just to add fuel to the fire, Crow's brother, real estate mogul Trammell Crow Jr., has been accused of human sex trafficking in a suit filed in California. This scandal has been years in the making. It started with Thomas's confirmation hearing. Witness Anita Hill, a former Thomas aide, presented a very disturbing account of the sexual harassment she suffered from him. Thomas responded, "This is a circus. It's a national disgrace. It's a high-tech lynching for uppity blacks who in any way deign to think for themselves, and it is a message that unless you kowtow to an old order, you will be lynched, destroyed, caricatured by a committee of the U.S. Senate rather than hung from a tree." On October 15, 1991, the Senate confirmed Thomas's nomination 52-48, the closest Supreme Court confirmation vote in history. Now, Thomas has been accused of accepting extravagant gifts from Harlan Crow and not reporting them for over a 20-year period. Jenny Thomas has been accused of being an ardent financial supporter of the January 6th insurrection. It appears that Crow was also neck-deep in aiding her efforts. Harlan Crow made a $500,000 contribution to Jenny Thomas's Liberty Central, which in turn paid her a $120,000 a year salary. Clarence Thomas failed to disclose his wife's income during this period, and the sources of Liberty's funds were not publicly disclosed. What makes this ugly story even worse is the fact that Harlan Crow had 8 cases before the Supreme Court during the course of their friendship, and Thomas, instead of recusing himself, voted in his friend's favor every single time. Why waste money on buying a congressman or a senator when you can get a Supreme Court justice? When Republican megadonor and real estate investor Harlan Crow isn't lavishing Justice Thomas with free trips on his private plane and yacht, a $19,000 Frederick Douglass Bible, and a new wing named for Thomas on a Savannah, Georgia library he'd visited as a kid, he lives a quiet life in Dallas among his historical collections. These include Hitler paintings, a signed copy of Mein Kampf, and assorted Nazi memorabilia, plus a garden full of statues of the 20th century's worst despots. I imagine he is also a paid-in-full member of the First Baptist Church of Dallas led by Robert Jeffress, but that's just a guess at this point. Mitch McConnell's dream of a 50-year conservative core is exploding in his face. Thomas will likely resort to the "this is a witch hunt" defense that allowed him to squeak through his confirmation hearings, but there is hardcore evidence this time that demands his resignation or impeachment. True justice would be for President Biden to name the eminently qualified Anita Hill as his replacement. Thanks for listening.